Welcome to the deep dive. We always talk about needing good source material.
We certainly do.
Well, today we are diving into a document stack that is, wow, it's so highly classified, challenges so many fundamental assumptions about, well, reality itself.
It really makes most thrillers seem a bit tame, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We're talking about the Osiris Breech Dimensional Stability Report 2025.
And this comes from a group called, well, the WAD, the Weaponized Animal Division.
Okay, hold on. We have to unpack that right away. W.A.D. Weaponized Animal Division. That sounds, well, frankly ridiculous.
It does, doesn't it? Like something from a bad sci-fi flick.
Or maybe a very, very successful government research wing that needed a joke name for cover. What are they doing tracking reality stability?
That's the first cognitive dissonance the report throws at you. Yes, the name is profoundly absurd.
Yeah.
But WAD's actual job, according to this document, high-level particle physics consequence management, timeline preservation. Apparently, they were already the specialists assigned to monitoring unauthorized high-energy stuff globally. So, yeah, we can chuckle at the name, but WAD are the ones who pieced this whole reality-shattering puzzle together.
Understood. So, our mission today is basically to guide you through this controlled insanity. We need to detail the 2012 dimensional rupture.
Explain how it created those glitches in the matrix people talk about.
And reveal this absolutely shocking, unauthorized intervention that, well, the report claims saved our entire timeline.
And the big picture here, just before we get into the weeds, is confirmation. This report confirms it, with measurable data, shifts in physical constants, historical records, even human memory.
All stemming from one single event.
One catastrophic event fundamentally altered our shared reality. This isn't, mass hysteria. It's documented quantum data corruption. Okay, let's start unpacking the core event itself.
Right. Let's go straight to the catalyst. WAD calls it the Osiris Breech. The report pins the origin very precisely. December 21st, 2012, at CERN in Geneva.
And the cause? An uncontrolled incident. Specifically, an unregistered particle collision sequence.
Unregistered. So they weren't even supposed to be running that test.
That's what the report implies. A major deviation from planned experiments. And the mechanics described, well, that's what turns it from just an accident into a full-blown dimensional crisis.
How so?
That sequence. It resulted in a containment overload, led directly to a dimensional rupture. Right there, inside the collider perimeter.
Okay.
They registered 3 micro black hole signatures. And crucially, they persisted 4.74 seconds.
0.74 seconds. That's less than a blink.
Barely a blink, but apparently it was enough.
Enough to send shockwaves through everything. What were the immediate global side effects?
The report lists them out. Temporary gravitational inversion. Imagine that chaos for a few seconds.
Wow.
A global electromagnetic resonance distortion and mass data corruption across monitoring systems everywhere. It was like a momentary global seizure of physics itself.
That sounds bad enough. But the real consequence, the thing that explains everything we've kind of noticed since 2012, that's in the modeling they did afterwards, right?
Exactly. That's the core finding. WAD found the event fractured the prime timeline, which they actually label Earth 34A in the report.
Earth 34A, okay.
Fractured it into overlapping subbranches. Think of it like shattering a glass, but then the pieces instantly try to stick back together.
How?
Through something they call partial data merging.
Partial data merging. What does that mean in terms of timelines? Can you clarify that?
Okay, imagine reality has an underlying code. The report calls it the quantum narrative layer.
Right.
The breach basically corrupted the source file, the main code.
Right.
So when the universe tried to, let's say, autosave and reconstitute the timeline, it grabbed corrupted bits of data from those parallel timeline fragments, the subbranches.
And pasted them onto ours.
Pretty much. Pasted them onto ours. And this created permanent discontinuities, gaps, inconsistencies. The fundamental facts of our universe aren't entirely consistent because they were literally pasted in from somewhere else.
Wow.
And that's why WAD explicitly connects this data merging to what people call the Mandela Effect. This is where the real-world consequences really kick in.
So every time someone argues about, I don't know, the spelling of the Berenstain Bears...
Berenstain versus Berenstain, yep. That exact example is often cited.
They're essentially having a memory conflict between the original Earth 34A timeline and this fractured, patched-up version we're in now.
That's the hypothesis presented in the report, yes.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because now we can connect that secret 2012 event directly to the everyday anomalies we all sort of notice or debate online.
WAD actually cataloged these glitches. sorted them into threat profiles. We should probably start with the physical shifts first. The geospatial alterations, because those are harder to dismiss.
Okay, like what? The report mentions continental drift discrepancies.
Yes. Specifically, South America. It's apparently relocated slightly eastward compared to pre-2012 baseline data. And there are variances in the shape of the polar regions, too.
Hold on. How does WAD account for a whole continent being physically moved? Did the tectonic plates just snap into a new spot?
It's not like they moved in a geological sense, like drifting over millions of years.
Yeah.
The data defining their location shifted.
The data.
Imagine Earth 74A, the original timeline, had South America positioned, say, a bit further west relative to Africa, when the timelines merged and reconstituted.
The new dominant physical parameters placed it farther east?
Exactly. And our current historical records, our geological data, now reflects this new timeline's configuration. But WAD's baseline archives, the ones secured before 2012, show the difference. The planet's physical geography, according to them, isn't quite what it was originally supposed to be.
Okay, if the physical map of the Earth changed, even slightly, it makes sense our collective memory might have shifted too. So what's the link between those physical shifts and the perceptual ones people notice?
Well, the physical changes are really just a symptom of that deeper narrative fracture, which leads us right into the memory discrepancies.
Right.
And this section of the report, honestly, it reads like a greatest hits list from viral internet debates.
Like Berenstein Bears again?
That's in there. Also, altered film dialogue, specific quotes people absolutely swear they heard differently.
Oh yeah, I know those arguments.
And the consistent public recall of media artifacts that apparently never existed. Movies, songs, things people have clear memories of, but there's no record.
So if the timeline merged data, then potentially millions of people retain partial memory files. Fragments from the original pristine Earth 34A that now contradict our current merged reality.
And they pair that with iconographic shifts too, right?
Yep.
Like logos changing.
Yes. Brand symbols, specific visual designs, things that are now inconsistent with what WAD archived pre-2012. They mention shifts in certain car logos, the historical details of a famous cartoon character's appearance. They're saying these tiny inconsistencies are actual evidence of reality bleed through from the original timeline.
That's exactly the claim. But it gets weirder than just memory and logos.
Of course it does.
Beyond geography and memory, there's documentation of direct time and space distortion. They track chronometric drift, isolated time skips, reports of mass déjà vu happening simultaneously across different continents.
Mass déjà vu, wow.
And then there's the really high-level weirdness, atmospheric and astral phenomena. We're talking shifting colors in the auroras, reports of transient double moons.
Double moons?
Briefly visible, yes.
Yeah.
And global reports of strange electromagnetic hums, particularly in high-altitude zones. WAD connects all of this specifically to residual quantum punctures, leftovers from the original breach.
I think almost everyone listening has had one of those moments. You swear your keys were on the table, or you get that intense, profound déjà vu feeling. Are we saying those little moments could be literal quantum hiccups, residual reality leakage?
According to this WAD report,
Yes.
they're the immediate micro-symptoms of the underlying instability. Reality is still sort of bleeding out through these tiny punctures.
Okay, that's a lot. But the biggest reveal in this report, for me anyway, has to be the section on external intervention.
Ah, yes.
If reality was actually tearing itself apart, who stepped in? Who patched it up?
The source material points towards, well, an unverified recurring intelligence, an extra-dimensional collective.
And they're dubbed.
The Siege Cats Collective, or SC.
Right. We can't just skate past that name this time. Siege Cats Collective. You can't just drop that and move on. What on earth does WAD think they look like, or why that name?
WAD admits they have no definitive answers. On the name, on their appearance, nothing concrete. The designation Siege Cats Collective just appears. It shows up in intercepted communications and internal WAD logs from around 2014. They just adopted it.
So no actual cats involved.
Probably.
Probably not. The closest they get to a theory is that the SC operates with some kind of advanced, non-anthropomorphic logic. Like, maybe they see reality structures in a way we can't comprehend. They seem purely interested in dimensional coherence, stability, regardless of who lives in that dimension.
Okay, regardless of the bizarre name, their role was absolutely critical. The report says that between 2014 and 2015, the Siege Cats Collective conducted a massive broad-scale dimensional harmonization procedure.
They stabilized approximately 92% of the global frequency field. Basically, they repaired most of the damage.
How? With what kind of tech?
Technology that WAD admits they could barely comprehend at the time. The report identifies two key pieces of SC stabilization kit, something called HAL.
HAL, like 2001.
Stands for Hostile Autonomous Logic Array.
Yeah.
And the other is the Chronocore Resonance Engine.
Okay, we need to define those just briefly. What did HAL and the Chronocore engine actually do?
So HAL seems to be the brains of the operation. The analytical software, the targeting system, it mapped the timeline fracture points, targeted the distortions with extreme precision.
And the Chronocore.
That's the muscle, the power source and the output mechanism. It essentially pumps coherence, stability back into the damaged quantum fields. Think of it like a huge extra-dimensional reality glue gun.
A reality glue gun wielded by the Siege Cats Collective. Got it. And the command analysis section in the WAD report, it really emphasizes how dire things were, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Without the SE's intervention, their modeling showed full dimensional implosion by mid-2016, not just a disaster, total reality failure.
They didn't just save us from like a world war, they saved existence itself.
Which must have been a rapid and probably humbling realization for an agency like WAD, suddenly dependent on, on the Siege Cats.
Which brings us neatly to WAD's current stance as of 2025. They went from treating the SC as an unknown threat to designating them provisional allies.
A big shift.
Operational pursuit orders. Suspended, now it's just passive surveillance. And here's the really interesting part. SC stabilization tech has apparently been covertly integrated into CERN's own safety protocols since 2016.
So they're now, in a weird way, partners in keeping things stable. Necessary partners.
Necessary because, let's look at the current status. Containment level is stable. Okay, good.
Thank goodness, yes. But residual drift remained active. That's the remaining 8% distortion. The bit the SE couldn't or didn't fix.
We are currently riding on an 8% margin of instability.
That seems to be the assessment. And that drift, it's measurable. The report mentions leak frequency averages about 0.7 microholes per 100 square kilometers per year.
So reality is still slowly bleeding out.
In tiny amounts, yes. Which leads to the question of public awareness. WAD is incredibly blunt here. Their strategy, civilian awareness, is contained under Mandela Effect misinformation strategy.
They are actively managing what the public believes,
Yeah.
using the Mandela Effect as cover.
Exactly. They're strategically using that popular cultural term to dismiss the actual underlying quantum instability. They need people to think it's just a funny memory lapse, a quirk of the internet.
Not a sign that the very fabric of space-time is compromised.
Precisely. Prevent mass panic, maintain order.
And WAD's own field data confirms that major weird events since the repair correlate directly to these residual leaks, right? The instability still manifests.
Oh yeah. The report lists some chilling examples. The 2016 Arctic double moon reflection incident.
Where two moons were briefly visible. Seriously.
According to their telemetry, yes. Then there was the 2020 Global Synchronized Dream WAD, codenamed it the flood scenario. Millions worldwide reported having the exact same vivid apocalyptic dream on the same night.
That's unsettling.
And more recently, the 2023 worldwide network reset. Remember that? An 8-second, completely unlogged blackout across global networks.
These aren't random system failures or mass hallucinations. They're symptoms. Symptoms of that 8% residual drift making itself known.
That's the WAD analysis. They see direct correlation, which leads right into their strategic recommendation.
Maintain indirect observation, okay, but also, critically, increase misinformation reinforcement in public communication streams.
They want to double down on the cover story. If you connect this to the bigger picture, the agency isn't just observing reality, they're actively shaping the perception of reality.
Controlling the narrative to keep things calm. Essentially gaslighting the entire planet by framing these reality glitches as, shared human error or internet phenomena.
Their goal is coherence, stability. And if that means lying about the fundamental physics of the universe, well, the report indicates they will.
Which brings us to the summary conclusion of the Osiris Breech Dimensional Stability Report 2025, almost a decade and a half after the initial event.
The final assessment is pretty stark. The Osiris Breech, it remains the single most significant reality-level event WAD has ever recorded, period.
And the world is habitable today.
Due entirely to the unauthorized,
critical intervention performed by the Siege Cats Collective. We're safe, but only by the grace of these unknown, probably unknowable, extra-dimensional entities.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now?
Well, the stability you perceive every day. Your memory working consistently, the map looking right, time flowing smoothly.
It's actively maintained. You're living in a patched up reality, a reality that's only, what, 92% coherent? We're living with that 8% instability hanging over us.
And this raises a really important question, one that WAD is clearly worried about, moving from current status to future threats.
Yeah, the report includes a strategic recommendation. They need to investigate the potential for these residual microholes, the leaks, to evolve, to potentially cascade into new catastrophic breach events by 2030.
So the danger isn't entirely gone.
Not at all. And this dependency on the Siege Cats, this is the ultimate vulnerability, isn't it? What happens if our provisional allies decide they've done enough? What if they withdraw their protection before the next potential crisis hits?
That 8% margin of error might shrink to zero a lot faster than anyone, even WAD, is prepared for.
Yeah,